It was the final official visit weekend of the month of June for Tennessee. Who did the Volunteers make the most moves with? We'll tell you that here on a Monday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols, a new week, and I'm glad to have you guys here with me today. I'm Cain, your host here of Locked On Vols, a part of the VolQuest.com team covering Tennessee athletics right here in town, the affiliate of the On3 Network. And today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook, where new customers can get up to $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Appreciate our friends over at FanDuel. Mailbag edition of the show is coming up tomorrow, so you everydayers, thank you so much. Your time to ask questions, and I'll answer those on tomorrow's show. So go ahead and send those in at _Cainer and at Locked On Vols. And, of course, you can put a question on the YouTube channel as well, and I'll find it there. So appreciate you guys for doing that. That's coming up tomorrow for the Mailbag edition of the show. But here on a Monday, kind of going to go over what all went down. Recruiting weekend, Tennessee hosted about 18, 19 official visitors over the weekend. So who did Tennessee move the needle with the most? That's coming up in a matter of seconds. Tennessee baseball, not one big splash, two pretty big splashes in the transfer portal on a Sunday afternoon. We'll go over who Tennessee added via the portal in segment number 2. And then Athlon Sports picked Tennessee to finish where in the SEC? Take cover, because it's pretty ugly, and it's pretty laughable, to be honest with you. All that and more coming up here on a Monday Locked On Vols. All right, so Tennessee recruiting weekend. I think Tennessee moved the needle with a couple of prospects, really. First and foremost, I think Tennessee made some moves with Zaydyn Anderson. He is a prospect from East Tennessee, the Greenville area, defensive back. So kind of a local prospect, right? But I think Tennessee had a good weekend with Zaydyn Anderson. I think Hezekiah Harris, the Auburn edge commit that's been visiting Tennessee an awful lot here lately. I think he had a pretty good weekend as well with Tennessee. Brayden Rouse said that this was the best visit he's ever had at Tennessee, and that's saying something because Brayden Rouse has been to Tennessee quite a few times over the last year. And, of course, he's the highest-rated guy that we're talking about in this cycle or in this grouping. Carson Sneed, Tennessee's tight end commit that has very much been – fans have been kind of holding their breath, right, in terms of, is he going to flip somewhere else? Is he going to be in this class? Well, he said that he hopes to have a final decision here in the next couple of weeks, and his goal is to get to the NFL. And so does he feel like he can do that at Tennessee or elsewhere? So Carson Sneed was here on campus taking in his official visit this week, and we'll see if he sticks in the class here in the next couple of weeks. And also looks like Tennessee did a pretty good job with an a defensive lineman in Joel Combe, safety, Joel Combe, who was back here for Tennessee's official visit this past weekend. We'll go ahead and start with Brayden Rouse. Again, he's the highest rated prospect in this conversation. Again, it felt like Tennessee had a really, really good weekend with him. For as many times as he's been on campus, he said this was the best one. Why? Well, because he talked a lot about football. It was more football fit. It was great, relationship, and, getting to know the coaches, and all that, and great. But they actually talked some ball this weekend. And for a guy in Brayden Rouse who Tennessee's recruited the linebacker position very well here lately, but if you're able to land him, a top 100 prospect, per the On3 industry rankings, 10th player out of the state of Georgia, 7th linebacker in the class, this would be a very, very big get out of Marietta, Georgia, if you're able to land this one. And it feels like Tennessee did a really, really good job with Brayden Rouse. And we talk about Brayden Rouse a lot when we're previewing recruiting weekends and all that and more. So, it says, again, I think Tennessee did a great job. He said, quote, this is the VolQuest.com. This is probably my best Tennessee visit so far, and I've been up here multiple times. Just coming down here and keep building these relationships with the coaches and players all weekend, because that's potentially who you're going to be in it with. Felt like the football piece was huge this go-around, talking scheme and talking ball. Just kind of the fit for me here, some stuff I can really do and separate the defense from some other defenses and really help them out. So it was a great visit, end quote from Brayden Rouse. So that's really, really good to hear. Mentioned Carson Sneed again. Carson Sneed, in-state prospect, tight end. He's been in this class for quite some time, right? 6'5.5-ish, 235 pounds. Grew up a big-time Tennessee fan, again from Nashville, Tennessee, where he attends DCA. And but again, there's been a lot of talk about him, right? He took an OV to Florida. I believe that was last weekend. I think North Carolina has been in this conversation. Ole Miss has been in this conversation as well. We'll see if Carson Sneed holds on to his spot in this class. You're talking about a On-3 industry ranking guy of a 324 is his overall grade, 16th ranked tight end, and 10th ranked player out of the state of Tennessee. He said he hopes to, have a final decision in the next couple of weeks, but sounds like he had a really good time here at Tennessee. He said, quote, just being back around Coach Ablin was great. Being around the guys was great. We have already done everything you can pretty much do and think of by now. He has coached me up. I've sat in his room and watched meetings. I don't think there's much more I can uncover from him as a person. He's a great person, and he is an even better coach. He said, quote, they talked about the tight ends they've had in the past and what all they've done with them and around their offense. They think I can be a freshman All-American and make it to the NFL. They want me to be that for them. So that's good to hear, right? I mean, Tennessee obviously putting the full court press, trying to keep Carson Sneed in this class. Another one that I want to highlight, again, I kind of led off with this one, Zaydyn Anderson, again, from Greenville High School. Zaydyn Anderson, I've caught a couple of his games on Rivalry Thursday, 6'1", about 170, very much of an athlete, has the football in his hands, wide receiver, DB. I think Tennessee likes him a lot on the defensive back side of the football. Top 500 recruit according to the On3 industry rankings. He said, quote, I feel like we're just all together and like everybody just connected like a family up here. Talking about the visit. That was to volquest.com. Said probably just learning the inside work about the football side of things. He said, I grew up near here, not far away. Already knew the football team and stuff like that. So just knowing the ins and outs of the football side of the program. And so he hopes to have a decision here in the next couple of weeks. But again, you can never take, just because you're a local prospect, right? You can never take that for granted. I feel really good about this one. I do. But again, as Iverson Garcia showed us just last week, attending Powell High School, literally right in the backyard of Tennessee, of the campus, you can never take anything for granted. But I do have a good feeling about Zaydyn Anderson. Feels like he had a really, really good weekend for Tennessee. Joel Combe, safety, was here, took his official visit over the weekend. Feels like Tennessee did a really, really good job in that regard. 6'2", about 190, again, from Marietta, Georgia. And he was quoted in a VolQuest article talking about this weekend, quote, we talked a little bit more ball and how I can fit in and talked about their depth chart and their expectations coming in and how they see me fitting in. It was more time on that. It was really nice. So, again, kind of a common theme right here, right? Brayden Rouse was talking about they talked scheme, they talked ball in his official visit, and that's kind of the same way here with Joel Combe. So a little bit more ball talking and a little bit more one-on-one execution-wise, I guess, for the guys in this regard. So it sounds like Tennessee had a pretty good weekend in terms of official visitors. I think a total of, I want to say 17 or 18 were on campus this weekend. Savion Hyder was here. Okay, he did not do interviews. Knew that going into the weekend. He hasn't done interviews in quite some time. It's nothing new. He just doesn't really like to talk, but we know all about Savion Hyder, and he's posted pictures with Tennessee staff and all that. But again, he was in here. Tyree King was in on an official visit, but again, another local prospect from Knoxville Catholic. He's right down the road, and of course, he's a long-time commit in this class as well. So there were some others, and of course, the guys over at VolQuest, Matt Ray and Austin Price. I was even on hand to help in a very minor role. I just kind of transcribed and wrote some stories. They did all the interviews. So many interviews up at VolQuest.com. Braylon Outlaw, Tennessee linebacker commits. Again, I mentioned Hezekiah Harris. Felt like they did a really good job with him. The Auburn commit, Brayden Anderson, former Tennessee commit, Brayden Anderson, still very, very high on Tennessee. Javonte Smith, an in-state prospect. He was in here on a official visit. Gabriel Ascenda, the Mountain offensive lineman that is from Baylor that's committed in this class that has a really, really high ranking depending on where you look. He was here. So a lot of great stuff for Tennessee in terms of official visit weekend. You can check it all out over at volquest.com. Hey, when we come back, let's dive into some Tennessee baseball transfer portal talk, right? Not one, but two pretty big splashes over the weekend with some transfer portal commits. That is coming up next as we continue on here. It is your Monday morning Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. Hey guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Summer sports are in full swing. Whether you're all about the baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You've already been following the action, so why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, Major League Baseball, every single night, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions that are always so much fun to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching the bet right into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm always a part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started, or open the FanDuel Sportsbook app today. FanDuel, where you can make every moment more. Not one, but two splashes into the transfer portal for Tennessee baseball on a Sunday afternoon. The first being, according to On3, the number one rated transfer in the transfer portal, Henry Ford, committed to the University of Tennessee. Now, On3 has him ranked as number one in the transfer portal class. Depending on where you look, 64 Analytics, I believe, has him at number 5. D1 Baseball could have him somewhere else. But, I mean, he's pretty much a consensus top 5, 6, right? This is a big deal. Now, I will say this. The caveat here is he is a draft risk, all right? He is a draft-eligible sophomore. He is currently ranked, let's see here. He is currently ranked, I've got it written down, number 73 MLB draft prospect by MLB Pipeline, number 70 by Baseball America in terms of draft prospects. So that's putting him anywhere fringe 1, okay? Because remember, the first round's got all the compensation picks and all that and more. So you can, kind of stretch that out there to get close to 50, it feels like at times, or maybe even more. Fringe first round, anywhere to fringe first round to third round is where he could be selected. And with a lot of these guys, right? I mean, it's about the baseball draft is so much different than like obviously the football draft or the NBA draft. I mean, baseball draft, these guys have leverage. Like Henry Ford has more leverage than most because he is a sophomore. So technically, if he's selected and he doesn't get slot value, like the money price that he wants, like if they're trying to sign him for under or at the slot value wherever he's selected, he can be like, nah, I'm okay. I'm going to go play at Tennessee, then come back and as a junior try to be drafted higher. Now, typically, if you go back to college after your junior year, that's when you lose leverage because you enter the draft as a senior. The guys know you don't have anywhere else because you don't have anywhere else to go. You can't go back to college. Therefore, they will take you later in the draft to pay you less money. Right? It's all about slot money. You're drafted. You're assigned a slot position, okay, for the first, 10 rounds, and that is what you're assigned to be making. Now, you can also be selected, say, in the 4th round, but if you sign somebody under value under slot in the 2nd or 3rd round, they can pay you over slot to get you to go and to draft you and get you to sign. So it's a lot of variables in there. But nonetheless, Henry Ford very much is a draft risk. But I think that he's got a number in mind. I'm going to do some digging and not try to find that number, but kind of just try to find that mindset. There's some confidence there that Tennessee can get him to campus. And if so, what a very, very big addition this would be. Playing in the Cape Cod League this summer, Tennessee beat out Texas. Tennessee beat out Mississippi State. Of course, his former coach at Virginia is coaching at Mississippi State now, but it was Tennessee, Texas, Mississippi State battle. Ford was sitting in at 6'5", 225 pounds. He burst on the scene as a true freshman in 2024, landing on 3 freshman All-American teams after hitting .336 at the plate, 17 home runs, 69 RBI, 13 doubles, and 61 starts. Again, as a true freshman in 2024. The home runs and RBI tally were both freshman records for Virginia. Last year, second team All-ACC in 2025, 362 average, so the average went up. 11 home runs, 46 RBI, 9 doubles, 42 runs scored in 50 games, so he played 11 less games. Primarily played first base as a freshman, primarily played outfield, right field as a sophomore. 74 games at first base in 2 years, 34 games in the outfield while at Virginia in 2 seasons. And again, second team All-ACC following the 2025 campaign as an outfielder. So a very, very good prospect here in Henry Ford. A guy that can play right field for you, a guy that can play first base for you, but regardless, he's the bat, and he's a bat that Tony Vitello is really, really pumped up about, okay? Top 5, anywhere you look, transfer portal edition, according to On3, the number 1 rated prospect in the transfer portal, but he's one you're going to have to watch come draft weekend, right, or come draft the MLB draft. Currently considered number 73 prospect overall, according to MLB Pipeline, and number 70 by Baseball America. So somebody to be paying attention to there. He committed to Tennessee one day last week and went ahead and made that announcement official on Sunday afternoon. So You had Henry Ford that made his commitment known to Tennessee. A two-way player from Bowling Green also committed to the University of Tennessee. The second player from Bowling Green who is committed to Tennessee this cycle in the span of a week, and his name is DJ Newman. DJ Newman's a very interesting piece, okay? With rosters cutting down to 34, okay? You got the House settlement, rosters going down to 34, full scholarship, but still, you have a 51-man roster, right? A 40-man active roster for the season, but like a 51-man roster for practices and scrimmages and all that type of stuff. That thing's getting cut down to 34. So your roster is shrinking. So two-way players are becoming more and more sought after, right? I mean, if you ever thought about being a two-way player, now's the time to do it in college. What I mean by two-way players, guys that can pitch and guys that can hit. And that is exactly what DJ Newman is and what he's done at a high level, albeit in the MAC and mid-major, but still, he's a guy that's done it at a very, very high level for Bowling Green the past 3 seasons. He is draft eligible, not necessarily considered the biggest draft risk. He's not ranked inside the top 300 for Baseball America. He's not ranked inside the top 250 over at MLB Pipeline, but we'll still pay attention to him, but certainly a guy that you think you can get to campus. Both his seasons in 2024 and 2025 got cut short due to injury, but in 2025, this past year, in 25 games, all he played, .419 batting average, led the team in OBP, slugging, and doubles when he played there, stole 9 bases, struck out 16 times, walked 14 times. That was in 2025. Second team All-MAC as a designated hitter in 2024. .371 batting average, 1.119 OPS, which is really good. That was third in the conference. He played 35 games, 10 home runs, 10 stolen bases, 37 RBI. He had a 15-game hitting streak during the season, which was 8th longest in program history. And then as a true freshman in 2023, he was named first-team All-MAC as the DH. .383 batting average in 41 games with 30 starts. He homered once, drove in 11 runs, stealing 9 bases. Really, really good player. Really, really good player with that average and all that came with it. So that's him as a hitter. As a pitcher, we'll work in reverse order here. In 2023, he was the MAC Pitcher of the Year. To go along with Freshman All-American honors from Baseball America, D1 Baseball, NCBWA, and Collegiate Baseball. He had 15 appearances, 3 starts. As a freshman in 2023, 3-2 was the record, .349 ERA, 28 innings and a third of work, struck out 33, walked just 5. He allowed 3 runs in conference play that year. 1.80 conference ERA as a freshman. I don't care what level you're playing at, that's tough to do, right? In 2024, he made 8 starts on the mound, .361 ERA, struck out a career high 42 batters in 42 innings and a third. He walked just 10, so the strikeout to walk ratio really good. A Friday night starter, allowed 4 runs over 4 innings with 5 strikeouts and 2 walks against Tennessee at Lindsey Nelson Stadium back on March 1st, 2024. So played at Lindsey Nelson Stadium a couple years ago. And then, of course, this past year, 4 starts before injury, .377 ERA, 14 innings and a third, 16 strikeouts, only 6 runs and 4 walks allowed. 1 year of collegiate eligibility, again, is draft eligible, but feels like he's going to be able to get to campus. So really, really solid player in DJ Newman for sure. He was the MAC Freshman Pitcher of the Year, the MAC Freshman Pitcher of the Year, not the MAC Pitcher of the Year, the MAC Freshman Pitcher of the Year. So pretty good stuff in that regard. So you look at what Tennessee's done in the transfer portal so far. We're tracking it. 9 transfer portal additions. Right-handed pitchers, there's 4 of them, right? Technically 5, but 4. And Clay Edmondson, UNC Asheville. Mason Estrada from MIT. Bo Rudy from Kennesaw State, and Brady Frederick from ETSU. Technically, DJ Newman's in that conversation. He's a 2A player, right-handed pitcher, outfielder from Bowling Green. And then you got utility player Garrett Wright from Bowling Green, and then now Henry Ford, first baseman and outfielder from Virginia. So 7 additions, okay? There have been 13 departures so far. Really, the only one of note still has been Dylan Loy, who had an SEC high 33 appearances in 2025, and Tennessee has also still hosted, they've hosted 6 players on campus, 4 of which have still yet to commit or 3 of which have yet to commit to any program so far. Another 2-way player that was actually here a couple days ago, Blaine Brown from Rice, left-handed pitcher, designated hitter. I think a couple of teams from the SEC and one team from the Big 12 is involved in that one. We'll circle back around and kind of see where he is first of this week. Infielder from Cal, Jaron Advincula. Tennessee's in that one. LSU, Arkansas also in that one. I think Georgia Tech has been in that one as well. Landon Mack, right-handed pitcher from Rutgers. Pretty much any hype player in baseball is trying to get him right now. He is very, very heavily sought after. He was here on June the 10th. And then, of course, Tennessee also hosted Aiden Robbins of Seton Hall on June the 11th, but he committed to Texas about a week after that. So 13 departures, 7 additions so far for Tennessee baseball in the transfer portal. A really, really solid weekend for the Volunteers. Maybe some more on the horizon. We'll see. There's names being floated around all the time, and we'll continue to track it right here on Locked On Vols. Tennessee baseball gearing up, doing a really, really good job of roster reconstruction here this offseason as rosters shrink down to 34. Tennessee, Tony Vitello, trying to get some of the best of the best. All right, Athlon Sports ranked Tennessee where in the SEC? You're not going to believe this. Incredibly stupid, in my opinion. All that and more coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. All right, guys, we got a final segment left here. Your Monday Locked On Vols. Don't forget to get in your Twitch or Tuesday questions for the Mailbag edition of the show. That is coming up on tomorrow's show. Every day or just when we get to answer your questions. So, as always, appreciate you guys. Send those in at _Cain or at Locked On Vols. You can DM them, tweet me. I'll put out a tweet in the morning. Maybe I'll do it Sunday night. As I record this Sunday afternoon. But reply to that tweet, send me a DM, whatever you got to do. And, of course, you can comment on the YouTube channel with this episode, and we'll try to do that. Athlon Sports did the SEC predicted order of finish for the 2025 season. This is interesting stuff right here. I'm not sure if it's our guy Bill Bender that did it. Of course, he's big on Athlon over there. This is from, of course, the Athlon 2025 magazine online. It does an awesome job. I get that magazine every summer, kind of leading me into football season, get super excited about that. But we knew, right, wrong, and different, we knew that because of the Nico Iamaleava departure on the last day of spring practice, we knew that everybody was going to hold Tennessee in a lesser regard, right? I mean, it's your starting quarterback, right? We talk about it all the time. Like, I get it, okay? But it's just the name, right? It's like, oh, man, Tennessee's in trouble. Oh, boy, Tennessee can't recover, right? You know what I'm saying? So we kind of knew that this was going to happen, and I fully expect Tennessee to be voted at SEC Media Days, 8th, 9th, somewhere around there in the conference. But here's the first one that I've seen on record, like an official record prediction, not where Tennessee should be preseason ranked, not where Tennessee's going to finish, in December after the year in the AP Top 25. This is what Athlon Sports is predicting the SEC predicted order of finish is going to be for this football season, and they have Tennessee coming in at out of 16, at number 10. Man, that's too low. They think only Auburn, Missouri, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Mississippi State is going to come in behind Tennessee. Tennessee's there at number 10. Oklahoma is right there in front of them at number 9. Of course, those two teams play in November, so big opportunity there. They believe Texas A&M is going to come in at number 8. They believe Ole Miss is going to come in at number 7. New starting quarterback there. They think South Carolina is going to finish at number 6. And despite having a 6.5 win total line, I believe, over FanDuel. I'll need to check that out. Maybe it's 7.5, but I believe it's 6.5. The win total over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Athlon Sports believes that Florida is going to finish 5th in the SEC this year. 5th in the SEC this year. Alabama number 4, LSU number 3, Georgia number 2, and Texas number 1. Interesting stuff here, to say the least. Again, anywhere from 7 to 9, I'd understand. And I know 10 is just one spot behind it, but I mean, goodness gracious, guys. I mean, 10? Are you serious? That's what they have to say about Tennessee. How long until they mention the word Iamaleava? Let's see. For better or worse, the Nico Iamaleava storyline, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Iamaleava was the 8th word. Nico was the 7th word in this little excerpt about the Tennessee Volunteers. All right, for better or for worse, the Nico Iamaleava storyline will follow Tennessee throughout the 2025 season. Hey, the first time I'm reading this right now, and I even led into the segment talking about that, right? It's kind of funny. The hard reset under center this offseason has readjusted expectations for Tennessee. Not really. Thus, Athlon Sports knocked them down to number 10 in the final SEC rankings prediction. Tons of question marks surrounding the Tennessee program this season. Less than 1 calendar year after leading the program to the first CFP, 2025 could be a pivotal year in Josh Heupel's tenure in Knoxville. Okay. Again, expectations really haven't changed for me. I mean, I feel like I'm realistic. I do feel like I've been super high on Tennessee this offseason. I'll recognize that. I understand there's tons of questions. But again, you play good defense, you run the football well. That got you to the college football playoff last year. Maybe that's too simple. I get that. But I mean, goodness gracious. Like, I don't think it's that far-fetched. I don't. But coming in there at number 10, goodness gracious. I'm not sure that's accurate. Oklahoma, I understand there's a lot of hype there with the new quarterback coming in. I'm not sure if Oklahoma is going to be in front of Tennessee. Texas A&M, Marcel Reed, I root for him. Is he good enough to win big-time games with his arm? I don't know. Austin Simmons, everybody's super, super high on the new quarterback there for Ole Miss. Lenore Sellers, can't really say anything bad about him except for the forward pass every now and again. Florida, I've already done my spill there. I think that's incredibly too high. So they view Tennessee as the 10th best team in the SEC this year. However, they put out another story. Athlon Sports ranks top 10 coaches that could win their first national championship in 2025. So these are only coaches that have never won national championships, but they're doing the top 10 who they think could win their first national championship in 2025. Despite picking Tennessee to finish 10th in the SEC this year, Athlon Sports has Josh Heupel at number 9 on this list. How does that work? Lane Kiffin's at number 8. Mario Cristobal's at number 7. Kalen DeBoer's at number 6. Brian Kelly's at number 5. Marcus Freeman's at number 4. Dan Lanning's at number 3. James Franklin is at number 2. Steve Sarkisian is at number 1. And Jerome Moore, Michigan's head coach, is at number 10. Josh Heupel makes this list there at number 9. And I understand. I mean, I certainly understand that the SEC, just means more. There's more teams in the playoffs, and there's getting more opportunities and all that. But, man, oh, man, if you're going to pick Tennessee to finish 10th in the SEC this year, yet also pick the coach as a top 10 first-year coach to win a natty potentially, I don't know. It just kind of seemed off-putting to me. It just, especially in like kind of, they publish these stories in back-to-back days, I believe. The other tier of coaches, first-year head coaches that could win a national, not first-year head coach, head coaches who could win their first national championship. The next tier / long shots, Shane Beamer at South Carolina, Brett Bielema, Kurt Cignetti, Kenny Dillingham, Mike Elko. They picked Texas A&M to finish higher than Tennessee in the SEC, but Mike Elko's on this. Billy Napier, they picked Tennessee to finish below Florida, yet Billy Napier's on this list in the long shot. Matt Rule, Lincoln Riley, again. Shane Beamer, again. They picked Tennessee behind South Carolina in the predicted order of finish, but they have Josh Heupel in front of South Carolina. And again, make it make sense. The lack of consistency there in these two recent offseason polls or the offseason stories and lists, it just doesn't make much sense. But anyway, I just thought that preseason pick 10th in the SEC, I think that's a bit too low. I truly, truly do. Where would you have Tennessee in your predicted order of finish? We'll talk about that this week. Maybe that could be part of your mailbag edition of the show. Let me know what you think. Where are you predicting Tennessee to finish in SEC play this year? Would love to hear from you, plus your questions and so much more right here on Locked On Vols. We'll take your questions on tomorrow's show. That's going to do it here for this edition of Locked On Vols. Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here. Be sure to like, subscribe. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, everybody. This is Locked On Vols.